Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Now, as you can see right in front of you, today we are taking a look at a company that we've actually never reviewed here before on my channel. I don't really have very many of their figures at all. I have a couple larger ones that I got a while back. But these are actually the first of this series that I've ever received, and these are by, and forgive me if I say the name wrong, but I believe it's Kaiyodo. These are from the Dinotales line. They are pretty much very small minifigures that were released by Kaiyodo. And they're very, very cool, actually. I've been seeing these things online on eBay for years and years, and I always thought from a distance they looked really cool, but then every time I would click the link and go in and actually look at the figure, it would show like a blown up picture, a closer shot, and I always thought, man, they don't really look that great up close. Until recently, when I spotted a couple of these guys up for auction on eBay, and I thought, what the heck, I might as well throw a bid in just to see, because they were going for pretty cheap, and I did, and these are the two that I won, and when I actually received them, well, I must say that I have an absolutely brand new respect for these figures, and they are way nicer than I ever had any idea, which is, in a way, not really a great thing for me, because now I'm probably going to want to start buying these guys, and I have enough dinosaur figures already that I want to buy. Anyway, they are still very, very cool, so let's get a closer look at them. Now we're starting with this one. This one is called the Shantungosaurus. This is a dinosaur that derives from China. A lot of people may remember that PNSO had made a very cool larger version of this, a big model, a big vinyl one. But this one, as you can see, just looking in my hand, is very small, but the sculpt work and paint work on this is really beautifully done. Looking up here at the head, for so small, this thing has so much detail. And the eye is painted beautifully. You can see there's no sloppiness at all on the paint in the eye area, or in general, really. The mouth is painted and sculpted very nicely. You can even see that there is a little bit of a different coloration in there for the mouth, giving it a little extra realism on something this small is quite impressive. There you can get a little bit of the mouth color there hanging out of the side, you can see. Again, the eye is painted nicely on this side. And the paint, although it's kind of an over-the-top paint scheme, it really looks quite nice. And they've applied it in a very natural-looking way. There are so many different variations of color in the model. It's really impressive to me. You can see some beautiful wrinkles of the skin and some creases as we go down the neck, coming into the arms. They're sculpted very nicely. Arms, front legs, however you want to term them. You see even the nails are painted beautifully, and it's so impressive because I'm not lying. You can see how small this thing is. It's very small. So I think that's what I'm most impressed with these figures, is for the size. There is just tons of sculpt and paint work that has gone into this. There's just so many different variations of color all over the place. No laziness at all when it comes to the paint and sculpt on these figures. You can even see some nice stretching skin coming off the leg here as the left rear leg is stretched out. Beautiful job done there. And you can see all sorts of detail on the leg all over the place. Nice musculature of the calf muscles there. The feet. Again, the nails are painted nicely, but the feet look very, very good. Beautiful job done on those. You can even see the hip bone up here is elaborated a little bit. And then the detail here on the tail also looks beautiful. I love the form of the tail. I love the entire sculpt, really. It's really beautiful in kind of a running pose, or maybe it's just trotting along. You can see that the back looks beautiful. These little ridges that run along the back are very nicely sculpted, all sculpted. For the most part, they kind of look like they're sculpted individually. It's just amazing to me just how much work goes into something so small. There are just so many different colors all over the body. Like, just look at the tail right here. We got like a green and a brown, and then there's this like dark brown reddish color that runs along the ridges in the back, and then it changes to like 3 different colors right here at the tail, and then there's all these other splotches of coloration all over the place, and then this like orange brownish type color. It's just so many different colors all over. It is so cool. And they actually connect to the base that is right here with these little pegs on the feet, like most figures like this would do. If you want to connect it to the base, you're going to give it these little pegs, and then they go into the little holes there where you follow the footprints. And you can see that this is very nicely done as well. The base is beautifully painted. You can see it's basically some water running here, and the dinosaur is just trotting along. It looks very nice. Again, very small, but it is beautifully done. So these Kaiyodo figures are quite awesome. And they actually come in just a little bag, and they're in pieces, and you just simply put them together. So you can see, when you look at them, like here in the shoulder blade and in the hip bone, you can see where they've been connected. The tail has a little seam there, and then the head has a seam here. So you will have seams on these guys, but they're so small that from a step away, you really won't even notice it, and they look just fantastic. Now, the other one I got actually is not a dinosaur. It is an extinct giant version of a monitor lizard, which is an absolutely massive and very interesting creature. There we go, I was waiting for the camera to focus. But it's called the Megalania, and it is so cool. Also, you can see that the paint on this guy is just very, very realistically put on. It just looks super nice. I absolutely love the way that they paint their figures because there's no sloppiness anywhere on these figures. You can see a lot more seams on this guy than the other one. As I push the stomach, it doesn't really close all the way. So you do have this seam, it's kind of ugly, that runs along the side here. But it's not really that distracting, honestly, for me, especially from a little distance away. I don't notice it too much. Looking again at the sculpt and paint, you see the teeth are painted pretty nicely, and they are very tiny. Even the tongue has its own individual paint on it. The eyes look beautiful. And the overall sculpt and detail is just tremendous. All over, everywhere you look. Kaiyodo has done such an incredible job on this guy as well. I think it's just absolutely fantastic how much sculpt and detail and paint and everything they can get into these things, because they're so small, but it really looks quite realistic. If it didn't have this seam, it could potentially look like a real lizard, in my opinion. Obviously not a Megalania, as it's incredibly tiny, but a real lizard nonetheless. But again, the eyes are painted beautifully, and then the color is a nice, very dark coloration like you would probably find on that creature, and it looks very real, very naturally applied. The nails are even painted very nicely, and no sloppiness at all in those either. This one does not come with a base, as it doesn't need one, but still awesome regardless. Now, I personally don't know too much at all about these Dinotale Kaiyodo figures, other than they are very, very small and really beautifully done. But I do know one thing, and that is that quite often the price tag on these guys is pretty high, considering they are fairly small figures. Just looking up these two figures before I came on here, I wanted to get a basic idea of how much these guys run for in a buy it now setting on eBay, because I don't know where else you can actually purchase them other than eBay. It's really the only place I've seen them. But for this Shantungosaurus, he was running about $15, and for the Megalania, that thing was about almost $20, I think. So I don't know if it just varies depending on the rarity or how long ago they've been made. I really have no idea, but I do happen to see these things go up quite often in an auction setting for sale on eBay, so you could probably get them for significantly cheaper if you just have a little patience. And trust me when I tell you, they are very, very cool and definitely worth a wait and a bid if you do get a chance to see some of these up for auction. So as far as the size goes, these guys, as I mentioned, are really quite small. And for the Shantungosaurus, you're looking at just under, actually almost right on the head, about 4 inches or 10 centimeters. And for a height, under 2 inches and under 5 centimeters high. For the Megalania, about, again, almost 4 inches, and there's really not much for a height as he is quite low to the ground. But for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex about to stomp that poor little Megalania right there on the head, and you can see that they are absolutely dwarfed by the Papo figure, as I have mentioned numerous times that these things are quite small. Regardless of their size, they are highly, highly detailed, beautifully sculpted, and even more so beautifully painted. And there are just tons and tons of these things out there. There are just so many different variations of these minifigures that the possibilities, oh my god, there's just so many. There's even Jurassic Park 3 ones out there, I believe, and I'm hoping to get some of those pretty soon because they look very cool when I saw them online. But there are many, many, like I said, many types of dinosaurs that they have created. These are just two of the probably hundreds. I don't even know. There's just a lot. Regardless, like I said, absolutely beautiful, and I have a whole new respect for these figures after actually getting some and having them in hand and taking a look at them, because they are really, really nicely done. everything about them is just so beautiful, and I am probably going to start looking into getting more of these guys, and as I do, I will throw them on the channel for you guys to look at. So again, a little pricier if you have to try to find one in a buy it now setting, but if you can find them in an auction setting, you can get them for a pretty good price quite often, as I did with these two. So this is only the start for my Kaiyodo Dinotales collection, and I do intend on buying plenty more in the very near future. If you do want to buy these guys, just go ahead and head over to eBay, just search around a little bit and you can find all sorts of Kaiyodo figures. I will link you guys to the two links I was speaking of with these two specifically, but if you want to take a look at any others, just go ahead and search around, just search Kaiyodo Dinosaur, and I'm sure tons of them are going to come up. And please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.